12 Gauge Wrestling fans, welcome to another great edition of Charismatic Impact. I'm Jeremy the Impact York. He's Kyle Charisma. This is the number one 12 Gauge review show. That's right, Carson. We are the number one video review show. Father Son podcast. Let me clear the air here because they love to call us out, which I appreciate, and they're going to get mentioned on here because they're actually going to help us at the very end with something. Parsons says that they are the best wrestling and best 12 gauge review podcast. I agree. And the reason I agree, they do a podcast where you get to listen to them. We do a video cast where you get to look at these pretty faces and listen to us. So, two completely different style shows. So, they can be the best podcast. I will concede that all day long. We're the best video cast.
I agree.
And that way we can all live happily ever after. Until next week's show when I'm sure he will weigh in on that. And I can't wait.
Until the Father Son podcast decides to go into a pure video format and compete with us once again.
Which spoiler alert, I know I have been working with them a little bit on some of that, and they are working on potentially being a video show at some point.
There we
I
go.
can't wait. I can't wait. But a couple weeks ago, obviously I was not there in person, so I got to watch the video portion of this for the first time I ever. Got to see camera view. Normally I get to see impact view from where I sit right on the front, which is a totally different view. So I appreciated that, that I got to see the show in a different light and a different set of eyes. I got to see what the camera wanted to show me. And it is a crazy different show when you do that. I mean, same way you see the show from the ring and you also see it from ringside where you're at during the various parts of the night. So it's a completely different view. But Let the Bridges Burn happened a couple weeks ago. We got to see I still keep getting, every time I hear it and every time I look it up, I keep getting different names of this faction. Is it the Akudo Death Society or the Akado, or what is it?
It is the Akudo Death Society.
Akudo. Okay, so I do have it correct. All right. The Akudo Death Society, and if you know anything about their ringleader known as Chris Crunk, that is one of the most appropriate things he would name a group. I think he's done it before. He's used something like that before or something. I think this is the new reincarnation, if I
This
got
is
that correctly.
this is indeed the new incarnation of the Akudo Death Society. Now, Mr. Christopher Crunk is a weeb, as they say, and so I don't know where Akudo comes from, but I believe it has something to do with some anime or manga or whatever.
That's my best educated guess. I am not up on all the various ones, but I know me and him have had some nerd out conversations before. We've talked about different things. I've enjoyed some of his recent videos. I like that where he goes and buys like Pokemon cards and action figures and things like that. And you get to see that side of him because I know a lot of pro wrestlers that are big into like Naruto and big into like, and they start going into the different ones. I was like, all right, I'm kind of more old school with where I am with anime and stuff like that, but
I'm
I
a
think
I'm
it's
a
really cool when you
I'm a
learn more
cowboy
about these guys.
bebop sort of guy.
There you go. We're all nerds in some form, so it's not a
You
negatory
know,
nerd.
I to talk about that for a second, which it
Mhm.
is slightly off topic, but I feel like the word nerd is often misused because I don't think you're a nerd for what you like. I think you can only be a nerd for how you act because everyone is passionate about something.
Correct.
I mean, like a jock can be passionate about football. That almost makes them a football nerd.
Yeah.
Even though the idea of a nerd and the idea of someone who loves football are two completely different ideals. But really, I think it's about how you love something, not necessarily what you love. That being said, Christopher Crunk is a weeb, and I don't like him.
Hmm. There you go. At least one of us is a Crunk fan, and we know definitely who is not. But we got to see them up front and center, and it starts. The show started, And I gotta I I will talk about this. We'll talk about this segment, and then I will weigh in on what I thought of it. So Crunk and crew come out. At that point, we didn't know their name. You did a good job of introducing them and then getting out of the way because that could have been a dangerous situation for you. And I think you knew that. So you were like, you know what? I'm just going to concede to you guys.
My eyes
The,
never left Ryan Marks. I was always paying attention to where he was and making sure I was as far away as possible.
See, we're on different sides of that coin too because you need to watch Ryan Marks so that your safety is top concern. I watch Ryan Marks to make sure he's not hurting other people because I'm good. Me and him are on good terms. We we get along on a weird level. But so the group comes down. We find out they are the Akudo Death Society, and then everybody is introduced. We get to kind of meet who everybody is, um, and then the segment took a weird turn. Weird because nobody really saw this coming. Roxy was called to the front of the group as she was introduced, or everybody was reminded who she is. Um, and she was wearing the Wrestler of the Year belt
The
that she
2025 superstar of the year.
superstar of 12 gauge, which once again kudos to her for getting voted on. That was a fan award, and I thought she deserved it. She definitely did a lot last year to help
But
12 gauge.
but no one ever mentions who got the second most votes.
It was probably Ryan.
It was this guy right here.
Was it? See, I never saw the actual totals. All I heard was the winner. Nobody ever
I
told me the totals.
I was counting them up.
Mm. But well, congratulations on the silver medal. Then,
I guess I got it. But indeed, it seems that Roxy is no longer our 2025 superstar of the year, but now retroactively, 1984 style history has been rewritten, and Chris Krunk is now the 2025 superstar of the year.
yeah, I was looking around. I kind of Google Maps and tried to look around since I wasn't there live and tried to see if I saw a DeLorean in the parking lot. I didn't see one, but that doesn't mean there wasn't one present. But yeah, Chris Crunk says, "You need to hand me my belt." She seemed a little confused for a second, and by the time he said it the second or third time, I think he said three times, she understood the assignment, handed the belt over, looked to accept it. She's the greenhorn of that group. She is under the tutelage of Chris Crunk, and if your mentor says something, a lot of times you're like, it may not make sense right now, but if that if that's what I need to do, then if she seemed to accept it. She seemed a little down about it, but she seemed to rebound herself a little bit. And it is kind of crazy because, truth be told, I voted for Crunk for that award. So, but I had nothing to do with this.
I should
But
hope not.
no, I was as far away from this as possible. I was an hour and
Un
a half the other
Huh,
side of the
huh.
state.
Seems a little suspicious that you weren't there while your potential master plan was unfolding, Jeremy.
Truth be told, if there's a fourth wall that we're going to break or a curtain we're going to let everybody see behind, one of us on this show may or may not be associated with the booking committee, and it's not the person talking right now.
I will tell you this. I will say I am very upfront about all of my biases because Kyle Charisma is not a liar. Kyle Charisma always tells the truth. And one of the hosts of this show may or may not be hiding behind the fact that they pretend to be unbiased while having a secret agenda that you can't see.
Nah, trust me, I'm the same way. I am one of the most straight shooters of anybody I know, and anybody that knows me knows that. But so that moved us to our first match. We got to see the return of Eli Riley, who faced Roxy last show.
Indeed.
Um, and he was accompanied by he has a manager now, or maybe he had one before, and the guy just didn't make the last show. But he had a guy by the name of Noah Howell that came out, and the two of them are quite the interesting tandem. and they took on Dylan Stone. And I thought it was a pretty good opening match, really.
Indeed, I gotta say, the stone face killer Dylan Stone was a man that I had heard nothing about, so I was going into this, just completely blind. And Dylan really impressed me with his offense right off the get go. And Eli Riley, I gotta say, excuse me, I don't like him, but I really enjoy not liking him. He's very
Yes,
entertaining to
yes,
watch get the snot beat out of him, and the snot beat out of him indeed is what we got to watch.
yeah. I felt like I think he is just maybe 13 or 14 months into his career. From what I heard, he is barely a year into it, but
I thought you were going to
Eli
say
Riley
13 or
puts on a
14
pretty good.
years old, and I would have believed you.
But I felt, yeah, I felt like he had a good performance, and out of the gate, because I was trying to do it as I go, trying to keep these in mind now that we do these awards. And I was like, if I had to pencil in right now, just off the first match, Eli Riley is leading the pack. He's the leader in the clubhouse for MVP because I enjoyed his performance. He did what he had to do to get the win. You could say it was a little underhanded or not. That's your opinion of it. He caught Dylan Stone unaware, and that's how you end up looking at the lights at the end of the night.
It's a mental game for sure. I think Eli Riley went in with realistic expectations. I think he knew that he wasn't going to win a battle of muscles, but I'll give the kid credit. He was clever, and he got the win in the end. So Eli Riley, I don't like the cut of your jib, but you know what? Maybe you're all right, kid. Maybe you got something.
Yeah, and it's only illegal or it's only cheating if you get caught, and he didn't get caught, so he got the job done, and that I got to give him credit there.
People's
But
court is a different opinion than the official ruling, so the official ruling will will take way this time.
yep, fair enough. Match number two, we finally got to see. Well, we saw him last show, but this was the first show he was a part of the Akudo Death Society when
In
Jay O'Neill,
one-on-one action,
yeah, 1-on-1, and he had his buddy Ryan Marks at ringside.
unfortunately, yes.
Um, which, when you get that pack mentality, I always say that about new factions. There's some really good factions that have started up and some other ones across the indies and even on TV that I always say if you want to be that, you always have to, eyes in the back of your head, always looking over your shoulder for these factions. You need to come to ringside even when it's not your match, or at least just stand through the curtain like you're watching everything. I was like, so many times you'll have a faction of 7 or 8 people and they come out one by one, whoever's in the match. I was like, you need at least one of your guys down there to show the strength in numbers part of it. And having Marks down there definitely did that. And KJ Valentine gave Jay O'Neill everything and more. I give Jay O'Neill credit. He had his own shorts this time. Um, it's you can walk a mile in a man's shoes and you can wrestle a match in somebody else's shorts, but having your own gear on, I think, does matter. He looked a little more sure of himself this time around. Um, Maybe Marks is the one that kind of is the bodyguard to make sure he has his own gear this time around. Maybe that's what it is. But the
I'll
two of them dang near tore the place down between the two of them there. And
yeah.
I know KJ Valentine is really catching on with the 12 gauge fan base, but Jay O'Neill gets the win in this one, maybe with a little help from his friend.
Indeed. I'll say because you put such a focus on it. As far as Jay O'Neill's shorts, they certainly are red now. I'll give you that. But with Ryan Marks in his corner, now I'm surprised Ryan Marks is standing in anyone's corner. I've seen him with people before, but it always seems to change. It seems like Ryan Marks can't really keep any friends in this industry, which doesn't surprise me because I've been on the other end of his fist, and uh, and
Yeah.
so I just I don't know how long this whole relationship is going to last with the Akudo Death Society and Ryan Marks. I really see that imploding sooner rather than later because, I mean, Chris Krunk is an unstable leader. Ryan Marks is probably the most unstable one. And while Jay O'Neill had a very good showing tonight, or not tonight, obviously, but that night,
Yeah.
uh, I just, I don't know. I don't know how he got the better over KJ Valentine because I truly believe that KJ Valentine has the heart to be a champion within 12 gauge easily, just given a
Agree.
little bit more time. And so I think we would see a different result if this were to happen again. But I have to give it to Jay O'Neill though. He is a very very tough competitor, and so I'm interested to see what he has in store because he's been a little more quiet, mysterious, whereas
Yeah.
KJ is a little more kind of crazy mysterious.
Yeah.
He's got a lot going on, but you still don't know what's deep down inside there. Jay, he's quiet, so there could really be anything going on behind those seemingly vacant eyes, like those Michael Myers eyes.
Yeah.
And I don't know. I really like KJ Valentine, so I'm a bit disappointed. I will say, but Jay O'Neill has a lot of potential.
Yep. Last thing I will say about the match and about Jay O'Neill is as far as having his own shorts and getting the win. I just got to say bravo for having your own gear and for getting the win. First one on the board. I've probably broken Kyle at this point. Um, but we move on to match number three, which was a tag team match, which was great because when I almost broke you there, you started to freeze up, which means I probably froze up. But match number
Yes.
three, we got to see two more members of the Akudo Death Society in Pluto Vibes and Kanoa Carnage, two of the biggest people outside of Ryan Marks and Walker to be in 12 gauge, and they took on the Pop Rock Connection of Kayvon LaFleur and I didn't catch Donovan's last name. Do you happen to know it?
It is Donovan Thomas, Mr.
Donovan.
Rockstar Donovan Thomas.
Yep. The Pop Rock Connection, and the not just in talking to Jeff and Carson, but in talking to some other people that were at the show. The Pop Rock Connection clearly have wrestled together before, and
Yes.
really had their stuff together on this night. They were a great tandem to watch and were giving Pluto and Kanoa everything they could handle. I don't know how many times that Pluto and Kanoa have actually teamed together. This may have been the first time, but even if not, it seemed like Pop Rock had them on their heels almost the entire match.
All right. Okay. Our
There,
connection is broken up a bit once again, but we are back. Um, I gotta say, little insider storytelling right here for you. I have been fighting for Donovan Thomas to be in 12 gauge for quite a while now. Uh, very early on in my career, Donovan Thomas was actually one of the first wrestlers who I ever got to talk to after the show, and he left a huge impression on me. And so I have been trying to get him in 12 gauge for as long as I can think of. And you know what? Now that he's finally here, I gotta say that it took a while to finally happen, but man, am I glad it did because him and of course Kayvon or I thought it was just Von LaFleur. I wasn't sure if it was Von or Kayvon.
I think
Um,
they said Kayvon this time, so I went with it.
yeah, yeah. And so LaFleur, either way, LaFleur absolutely had a lot to show at every show he's been at so far. And so to bring in his tag team partner, Mr. Rockstar, absolutely just blew the place up. And I think this is easily the a contender for the match of the night. And the Akudo Death Society, Pluto and Kanoa, they brought all the fight, and that's what makes a
Yeah.
match great. A match isn't great if one person has all the fight and one person is just there to be there. It
Yep.
takes two to tango. It takes two teams in this case to tango, and the pop rock connection absolutely walked out with the W, very well deserved. But the Kudo Death Society, they show that even though they're not impossible to beat in 12 gauge pro wrestling, they sure are a force to be reckoned with.
Yeah, and I thought it interesting too to be the first night as the official faction like that, actually have matches that uh they actually get a loss. You know, Jay O'Neill gets his,
Yeah.
and then the next time that group's in the ring, they take a loss. I'm sure Crunk was probably sideways chewing him out in the back, like, we can't take losses. We're here to take over. You know, gotta go harder next time. I do agree with that point you made. I got to agree with that real quick.
Well,
That
and there's a whole lot to say on the
Ryan
point that
Ryan
you just
Marks is
made
too
with the
much of
next
a
match.
yeah. Ryan Marks is too much of a his own kind of loose cannon self. That at some point, how long is he going to be okay being number two in that group? He's wants to be the alpha all the time. So at some point, I think we're going to see that, but I don't think anytime soon. They're very solid. But as you said, it did carry over to the next match, which, um, truth be told, Colt Bane took on Roxy Red, Roxy's second match ever, coming off the win she had over Eli Riley last time. Crunk did come out for a second. I think he went to the back. He didn't stay out the whole time, did he?
No, he came out. He came out with Roxy at the entrance just to well, basically to tell her to get to business. He said that nobody cares about the pageantry, nobody cares about the entrance. He said get in there and get the W. And then he came out once again near the end of the match
Yeah, that's
to
right.
introduce a chair into the equation. And I gotta say, to skip forward a little bit here, I was very proud of Roxy Red and the actions that she took, or rather the inaction. It was sort of a Roddy Piper moment, where he had the ring bell in his hand and he decided to drop it and to win the match like a man. And so with Roxy Red, she had that chair in her hand. She was being yelled at to do it from the man that she trusts the most in this industry. And she had the courage to know that she had to do what's right. And she dropped that chair and she tried to win the match on her own volition. Now, it didn't work out this time, and
Nope.
that's because she's in there with a veteran of the game. Colt Bane is
Yep.
absolutely not one to be messed with. There's a reason he was called the Chaos Warrior, because when you're in there with him, anything can happen.
Yeah.
So I got to say, Roxy really showed more heart than I realized she even had, and I thought she had a lot of heart before, but I am just going on an emotional roller coaster with every time Roxy is out there on stage, because she will do something that makes me love her and want to support her. And then the next moment, she'll do something that just breaks my heart and it just makes
Hmm.
me want to curse her name. So
Yeah.
with Roxy, I just don't even know how to feel anymore.
And I feel like she's torn between that too. Whether you think the old Ultimate Warrior thing where he would go back and forth, or the whole just, devil on one side, angel on the other. Like, as far as where she is one of the most purest, you know, always thinking about other people, trying to help other people type person. And she's in this group that's all about themselves. And I think that's what's tearing her in it. And I'm really interested to see what side of it she ends up. She's going to have to choose a side. You can't play the middle with in that situation, because then you're going to end up with nobody. You got to either pick basically the fans, or you got to pick that faction. And it's a tough decision. That's not a decision either one of us can make. We could advise as to what may be the best one way or the other, but she's going to have to figure it out. But as you said, Colt Bane and his performance really got my attention, because it's not easy to have to face somebody like Roxy, not only because, you know, you don't see a lot of men versus women matches. It's starting to come back a little bit. That's tough. He's never faced somebody as new as Roxy is. This is only her second match. She has the arsenal of moves she has is different from anybody he's going to face. But like you said, when you're a veteran, and he saw that chair come in the ring and he waited to see what she was going to do with it. And when she decided against it, he knew he had her, because that was the only thing that was going to equal it. And he was going to have to combat that chair somehow. But when, I always said Roddy Piper should have used the ring bell. I kind of think Roxy should have used the chair there. That's just my opinion. Not to cheat. I feel like Crunk was trying to tell her that in that situation, like, don't worry about the referee. in this situation, this was the time to potentially do that. But she decided for herself, and I like that she kind of stood her ground on it and said, "No, that's not me. At least now, we'll see." She's still under the wing of Crunk, but it cost her the victory as well. And so, if you're keeping along at home, that Akudo Death Society won, everybody else two on the night. That's two losses. They went back to back on those. It was going to take strong performances from the remaining two members to try to even that out and get it up there. So, um, as we move into the next match, turn the page on my notes. The aforementioned Devil Ryan Marks took on a newcomer. He looks familiar. I swear I've seen one of his matches online or something like that, but took on Zod. And if you
Zod,
don't know what
kneel
a Zod
before
is,
him.
I implore you to hit up your Google search engine and look for Zod the wrestler, because I promise you there's not really anybody else out there like that. He
You're
is
going
a
to find a
very
lot of Superman results, but
yes.
once you get past that,
But to take on somebody like Mark, I mean, you got to kind of throw everything, including the kitchen sink, at him. And I felt like Zod was more than bringing it. He was frustrating Ryan a lot. I could see it on Ryan's face. He was not. He's like, I'm not sure how to put this guy away. And then he figured it out. And Mark gets the win. But I thought it was a pretty good debut for Zod.
I mean, Ryan Marks is really like an angry bull because you get someone in there who knows how to work the cape and Toro their way around him. He just gets more and more frustrated with every miss that he has, but that only makes it that when he finally does hit you, it is that much harder. So unfortunately, Zod just didn't have what it takes this time, but God, I want to see Ryan Marks lose, and so I this match got my goat for that reason. I'll admit my personal biases right here. I don't like Ryan Marks, and so to see him get a W always will make me a little upset.
Yeah, I could understand that. I definitely. I know you started the match too as you were doing your introductions. You did them from outside the ring and actually told people why you were doing it outside the ring, because you didn't feel safe inside the ring as long as Ryan Marks was in there. And I went, that's one of the smartest things you could have did all night long. That's how you survived to the end of the show.
It's I do what has to be done because I love our audience, and if Ryan Marks is going to try and take me out of the show, then I will go ahead and take myself out of Ryan Marks's way.
Yep, discretion is the better part of valor.
Indeed.
Um, then we got to see the he returned at the last show as he attacked BK Bennett, who was him and Rico Bravo were actually where I was during this night, so he didn't catch this promo till later either. I do know he's seen it. I haven't heard his reaction, but Corey James came out and the Pale Rider himself and decided to explain his actions of why he's back, the way things are going. He addressed Carson has been tearing him a new one online, so he addressed Carson as well and reminded him that I love this was a great line. I got to give it to him. This was a nice promo. I really enjoyed it. I've heard Corey talk a lot. I thought this was one of his best promos I've seen. I like the line he said that I brought you into 12 gauge, and I sure can take you out. I thought that was a good line for him. He probably stole it from Carson, but it got Carson to be quiet. He was quiet for about a minute and a half after that because he was barking at him the whole time, and he said that, and he just goes, and he looks at his dad, and Jeff's like, "I told you to shut up."
I will say Carson is a little man, and for that reason, he has a very big ego when it comes to his role within
Yeah,
professional wrestling. Now Carson, I of course am a big fan of Carson. I think that he is
yep,
the future of professional wrestling.
quite
But that
possible.
being said, you know, Corey Lames, the coattail rider, that
Oh,
man, just I've heard him talk a lot too, and I've never heard him say anything that was worth saying. I've never really liked Corey Lames. I mean, he calls himself Corey Lames. I feel like if that's what you're calling yourself, that's a problem. But whatever. His mother knew what he was going to be when he grew up, so she named him appropriately. Now, now Carson doesn't like him, and I agree with Carson.
No,
Jeff really did like Corey, but he's even got Jeff's bad
he
side now. If
he
you heard, yeah,
yeah.
if you heard their
That
most
that
recent
yeah, that promo
podcast,
on this week's show, and once again, when you're done
yes,
watching this show, go listen to the number one 12 gauge
on
review
it's
podcast,
on Apple Podcasts, it's on Spotify, and I believe it's on
Spotify.
Amazon as well.
Yeah, the Father
It is
Son
not on
Wrestling Podcast.
YouTube.
It's actually worth your time.
That is another direct comparison and difference is we are the best 12 gauge wrestling review show on YouTube. They are the best on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Amazon, whatever they do.
Until
But
spoiler alert, we're working on some deals to be in podcast form soon too.
we'll have to reevaluate everything after that. But for now, so Corey's got Carson on his bad side, Jeff on his bad side. He's got BK Bennett on his bad side.
Yes,
He's always had me on his bad side. And I got to say, for the folks who don't know, I am an advocate for BK Bennett. And so I can tell you, BK is going to be back with a vengeance. And Corey's going to be walking out with more than just a busted nose next time. Because for him to do that to BK is going to have to give it right back to him and then some because
yeah,
BK always has it his way.
he does. He absolutely does. And that's fire. The way you described him there for sure. That's definitely him. He's got this crazy warrior spirit where I mean, you have to literally take him out in order to beat him. He's always going to just bring this fire and energy. Just he in a weird way. They don't wrestle the same, but he gives me the energy vibe of for somebody on TV that people can compare him to. I would say a little bit of Carmelo Hayes and what he's doing on SmackDown right now. It's a little bit of that baller, just never know what direction he's going to be attacking you from. That's kind of the vibe he gets. They wrestle different, but he gives me that Carmelo vibe a little bit.
Corey Lames, all I know is that he is chaotic and he is unpredictable. And he's got it out for me too. Corey, I don't know if you know this. I don't wrestle, and yet he is claiming in front of the audience that I will never be part of Stetsons and Flannels. First of all, Corey, okay, Zach Riley is a personal friend of mine. So you know what? If I'm gonna be in Stetsons and Flannels, it's only gonna be if you're not in Stetsons and Flannels. So that's just a pure fact, and we're gonna see what happens with that because there are big things coming down the woodwork that I don't think Corey's gonna be ready for, quite frankly.
And I will say, like I said, Corey for one, like I said, whether I'm a fan of yours or not doesn't matter. I enjoyed your promo. I thought you got your points across. You made your attacks the way you needed to. I thought it accented the show and it really set up the main event, which followed it. But I also got to remind you, Corey, that I think you have less friends at 12 gauge than Ryan Marks does. And like Kyle said earlier, Ryan doesn't have many friends at 12 gauge, but Corey, I don't think you have any. So you kind of need to watch what mud puddles you're stepping into. There we go.
Yeah, technical difficulties. It
Yeah,
happens. It's a live show.
always. Well, we recorded live.
And correct.
But so that moved us to the main event.
Main
And
event.
that was the best way to describe it, as Chris Crunk decided to defend his title. Now, granted, he had Ryan Marks and Roxy down there for moral support. Clearly, they weren't going to get involved or anything. But he was defending the 12 gauge heavyweight championship against DRP. I haven't seen the results yet. He might be the rookie of the year in Georgia. I have yet to see those. The awards got postponed. It was supposed to be this Sunday. So I only know a couple winners. I don't know that particular one, but he was at least up for it. He is tearing the world up all
Indeed.
throughout the Southeast right now. And this match was incredible, and it was crazy, and it was epic. And I don't know if there's enough words to describe it. The way these two went back and forth, it reminded me of a video game with all the cheat codes.
Indeed, indeed. It definitely went further than I was ever expecting. But then again, DRP has the heart for it. DRP wears 12 gauge on his sleeve. DRP is going to have scoliosis like me the way that he's carrying this company. Now, at least DRP's back will be a little bit straighter than mine because he's got the help of people like Rico Bravo, people like BK Bennett, people
Mhm.
like, I don't know, yours truly. But here's the thing is it just wasn't enough because Chris Krunk is at the top of the kingdom right now, and he clearly will do whatever it takes to stay there.
Yeah. Yeah, I absolutely agree. This resurgence that Crunk has had since he took the little hiatus, the sabbatical, and now that he's back, my goodness, he is just on one of the highest levels, and that's hard enough. But then you add in having his cronies around ringside too, and it makes it almost near impossible to be able to knock him off the throne right now.
Indeed, no, for sure. He has built a fortress around him, and there are alligators in those waters because you can't even step up to Chris Krunk without being torn down.
And he doesn't feed those alligators, so they're looking for a meal.
Oh, they're hungry. They are absolutely hungry. And if we had some more golden 12 gauge, I know they'd be trying to get their hands on that. So if there's a tag team title coming someday, they're going to want to have the first grabs at it. You know, if there's a
Yep.
women's title someday, Roxy's going to have the first grab at it. And I wouldn't be
Yep.
surprised if Chris Krunk tried to take that from her too.
It's possible. It's possible. I could.
Apparently, Jeremy York has recently become the world's intergender male and female wrestling champion recently. At least you're sending me pictures.
No, it's since I didn't really post those pictures. No, for one, I had permission to hold one particular company that I also have been reporting on for a year and a half, almost 2 years now. I had permission to have their heavyweight title on the shoulder, and their women's title was, I'm not going to say names nor companies because it could get people in trouble, and I don't know. I'm not concerned if I make an enemy out of that. But
I didn't
they're
mean to put Jeremy on the
no,
spot.
no,
I
no,
just wanted to call attention to
no.
the fact that he is the greatest women's wrestler since Andy Kaufman,
Since Joey Ryan,
since Joey Ryan. There we go.
yeah, Joey Ryan. Um, but yeah, I'll go ahead and say it. Deep South Wrestling. Last time I was at a Deep South Wrestling show, they had the heavyweight title, and me and my good buddy Akil, who also reports on things, some of the events we go to, we took pictures with the belt. It's the first time I'd had that belt in over 8 months. That was anywhere near me. Never had a picture with it. And then I look over, and not only is purple my favorite color, but the Deep South Women's Championship is just sitting unattended on a merch table next to me after an event. Now, all the fans have went home. There's only a couple people staying around, and I just look, and I look at my buddy, and my buddy's already got his phone up. He knows what I'm going to do, so I go grab that women's title, and I take a picture of me holding that nice purple belt because purple is my favorite color. So in a way, I'm not going to tell you who the Deep South Women's Champion is, but if you want to look it up, maybe you shouldn't leave your belt unattended. That doesn't seem like a good thing because hey, I took a harmless photo with it, but what if a fan would have took off with property of Deep South Wrestling? Chris Crunk keeps his belt basically on a leash. It's either near him or it was next to Ryan Marks the entire night. And I dare you to try to take it from either one of them.
Now, I
Maybe
will
if you're a
say,
champion, you should keep the belt closer to you. So, like I said, I will not say names, but if you want to Google and find it out, I promise you should be able to figure it out. There's only been one champion since I don't know, like 1994 or something like that. So you'll figure out who it is.
well, I will say, as far as 12 gauges pro wrestling undisputed championship, that belt never leaves these hands during the main event match. That is the one time that Chris Crunk does not have his grips on it. But I'll tell you, at the end of the main event at Let the Bridges Burn, I was standing there with the belt in my hands, and the whole time I knew what was happening before it even happened, and I knew that I was going to have to give that belt back to Chris as much as I really, really thought I was going to be handing it to DRP. So Ryan Marks got his grubby little paws and ripped it from my hands as they once again spoiled the night for absolutely everybody. Jeremy, why don't you tell the people about the awful conclusion that happened to what was a tremendous one-on-one match?
Man, it was. And also, I feel bad that I cannot. Uh, it, what's the referee's name? Is it Kevin?
Kevin's our referee.
Kevin, the Iron Referee. By the way, he refereed every single match all night long. So shout out Kevin.
Shout out
He
to
he
Kevin.
he got some MVP consideration from me just for the fact that he did every single match, and that's a feat that goes unnoticed a lot of times. So shout out to him for being able to. I mean, he was out the whole night. He was out there, out front, always involved. So I give him a shout out there. But he gets distracted. He also gets potatoed a little bit. Decides to take a little nap in the middle of the ring. Maybe it was a forced nap. He was didn't have much of a choice in it. Um, it helps to have your friends at ringside. The Death Society give Crunk a little bit of a boost. I don't care if Crunk claims it or not. Give you a little bit of a boost. Kind of helps you out, sways it the momentum back into your favor. And Chris Crunk, with the help of his friends and maybe a few props, retains his championship. And at the end of the day, they don't. If when you look in the books, it doesn't say how they did it. It just says that he got the W. So a few months down the road, people are going to forget how this happened.
It's true. It's true. Chris Drunk is now 2 for 2 as far as matches with that belt on the line.
Yep, he definitely is. And of course, afterwards, the Akudo Death uh, is it Society? Is
Yeah,
that
you
right?
had it right. You had it right.
Okay, Society. Yeah, they all come out. They attack DRP. They attack anybody else who seems to try to want to get in the way. Luckily, uh, you were able to stay out of the way because I really thought they were going to come after you as well. And
It was close. It was close.
it was. They got really close at one point, and I was like, he needs to get out of there right now. But and some other people tried to come down. The Pop Rock connection came out and tried to help, but just strength in numbers there. There was way too many of the Death Society. And then we hear familiar music, and everybody knows that music. That music hit, out comes Walker 13, and he clears the ring. And suddenly the melee turns into a one sided monster party as he is clearing the deck of everybody. He gets a piece of Ryan Marks, which he absolutely still wants a piece of.
Mhm.
He gets a piece of Crunk. He gets a piece of basically everybody and clears the ring and then lets Chris Crunk know that he's coming for him.
Indeed. Chris Drunk let everything off the leash at the last show. He said everything that he had on his chest. He got it all out
Yeah.
for the entire world to see whether the world likes it or not. And Walker 13, he got to have his moment too. He went out there and he showed them what the monster is made of. He showed them that monsters are real. And he said what he had to say. And you know what, Chris Crunk, we'll see who's really a man who owns up to their word. We're going to see in the end who really has what it takes to not just be the champion, but to truly
Mm-hmm.
carry this company, the weight of this company, the weight of the future of professional wrestling on their shoulders. And I will always bet on Walker 13.
Yeah. I mean, because I'm sitting there watching the melee and I'm like, man, if DRP and the Pop Rock they can't get the best of this group, I mean, somebody needs to step up for 12 gauge and try to really lead the charge to try to push against the Death Society. And then that John Goodman looking guy coming out, and that Goodman looking monster comes out and clears the ring, and the crowd really ate it up. That was one of the better pops of the night. Was he hit and was clearing the ring, and the crowd was like standing up and going nuts. And I was like, this is what they were waiting on. They wanted to see their monster.
As it should be, because you know what? He is not just my favorite wrestler, he is a lot of people's favorite wrestler. And so it is good to see him getting the showmanship that really he earns, because what
Yeah.
happened last month was just it, there's nothing Walker 13 can do when 5 or 6 people start attacking you in the middle of the ring. It doesn't matter if you're a monster. When they have the jump on you, there's nothing you can do, especially at the end of a long, hard fought match with Chris Crunk. And so now, this time, Chris Crunk was the one who was tired. All of his men were tired from their matches throughout the night, and Walker 13 was fresh as a daisy. So when he came in there, he showed everyone what the monster's really made of, and that's going to continue.
Absolutely. Absolutely. But I thought it was a good show. I thought it really we're seeing the tides turn and 12 gauge go in a slightly different direction. A lot of the story arcs and a lot of the things revolving around this new group, because we didn't know anything about this group. We didn't know what their agenda was really going to be, how they were going to go about it. I feel like we learned a lot in this one. It was almost like, the first or second episode of a new season where you have to set all the cornerstones and the bases up so that you know where everything is going to build off of. And I felt like it definitely did that. And we got to see the debut of some new people. We got to see some fun matchups and some other stuff. And I thought it was just another good show from Rocky out there in Rome.
Absolutely. To compare this to some mainstream wrestling, I really think the Akuto Death Society are doing to 12 gauge what the Death Riders were doing for AEW, which is just that no matter
Yeah.
how villainous of a force that they are coming in and just trying to wreck shop the whole time, the reason they can do it, and this is the most credit that I will give the Akuto Death Society, but to their credit, they're doing it for the same reason as the Death Riders, which is they want to
Yes.
see everyone else step up. They want to see wrestling be as great as it can be. And unfortunately, it just comes at the cost of them acting like a bunch of jerks, to keep it PG.
We try.
We try.
We try real hard some nights. But yeah, I would agree to that because there's so much. I mean, especially my generation, as we came through school and the education system, it was about nobody left behind. And so what that unfortunately did, as much as I want to include everybody too, and I want us all to make it to the end too, what that unfortunately does is when the ones that are highly achieving pull themselves down to where instead of going down to somebody's level, what Chris Crunk and crew are doing is they're saying we're not coming down to your level. You need to come up to our level. We want everybody to rise up, everybody on this level, and we're gonna, we're basically up in the clubhouse, and we're gonna start pulling that ladder up. And if you want to join us, great. And if you don't get mad if we leave you behind.
You're only as strong as your weakest link.
Absolutely. That's why this tandem is the best ever because we're both A pluses. But let's get into this fun part where, man, these awards are really taking off too. Like this past time for people who didn't see the videos, and I don't know how because both I think all three videos ended up way over 1,000 views, which was great. Um, I was able to award one half of match of the night to um,
Mr. BK
BK Bennett,
Bennett.
who was out where I was, and I also had the MVP of the last show, Rico Bravo, out there with me as well. And
And I
boy, they
had the
couldn't have
other
been more
half of match
appreciative.
of the night with
Yep,
DRP over at 12 gauge.
absolutely. DRP, who has had match of the night and MVP already.
That's right. So far, he is the most awarded wrestler in Charismatic Impact history.
Yeah, in our short history, but still, it's hey, he's 2 for 2 in awards.
You know what? It might be a short history, but it's our history, and it's got to start
Exactly,
somewhere.
exactly. And so far we've been unanimous. But I'm also looking ahead of the game, knowing that at some point we're going to disagree, and then it's going to be 1-1, and we're going to have some weird tiebreaker. So I have come up with every time we do a charismatic impact show, we're going to have somebody who does guest picks. In this case, it is Carson and Jeff, um, who I have their picks in front of me, and they none of these sway mine at all. I didn't look at
And
theirs
and
and suddenly
I
go, oh,
I am
and
completely
you don't know
ignorant
what they
of
are.
what Jeff and Carson picked.
Right.
Now, should we have our picks first and announce
Yes.
them? Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. Because what's going to happen is, you know, like maybe you do your pick and then I do my pick, or I do my pick and then you do your pick, and we see where we're at there. And then we look at theirs if we need that tiebreaker. But every episode, we're going to have different people. Oh, getting choked up about it. I'm so excited. But we're going to have different people guest pick. And if we end up in a tie, they break the tie.
There we go. Well, how about we
Oh,
start with match of the night? My pick for match of the night was definitely the Pop Rock Connection versus the Akudo Death Society.
I like it. I can't disagree with that pick. I am looking back over it because let's see. Man, there was some good ones. Like I said, I tried to keep a tally as I was going along, and then I would just get caught up in the matches.
Well, at 12 Gauge Pro Wrestling, we like to say that every show is better than the last. So every
Yeah,
time you buy a ticket to a 12 gauge show, you are buying a ticket to the best 12 gauge show ever, ever, ever performed. And you get to be part of it. You get to be the show itself.
absolutely. That's one of the best shows on the indie level that really does center around crowd and crowd reaction of being a fan, and it's about the fans. It's one of the most fan friendly shows by far. You're right up on top of the action in the ring, and that's definitely something that you don't see across the board. A lot of people have good fan base and stuff, but at 12 gauge, it does feel like you are part of the show.
Indeed. And I've been called the voice of 12 gauge by my co host here. I've been called the Cheshire Cat of 12 gauge, which
Yes,
is a particular favorite of mine. And I was plucked right out of the crowd. So, hey, maybe if you've got something special to show everybody and you come to the show, you'll be plucked out of the crowd too.
and I was actually plucked out of the crowd too by Ryan Marks, but that was a whole different situation,
You
and that
definitely
did not
don't
involve
want
any kind
that to
of accolades.
happen to you. Correct.
Yeah, yeah. Just know that I did not press charges. Like I said, I totally understood where Ryan was coming from on it. It was not an act of malice or anything. He was trying to get his point made, and I was the one he was going to make a point with. So that's neither here nor there. Like I said, we're fine. I'm good. I'm not
I,
afraid of
as
Ryan, and Ryan's definitely not afraid of me.
as someone who's been made a point out of by Ryan Marks, you know
Yes,
what? I ended up okay with it after all too. I'm still walking. I got a little crack in my back, but besides that, we're all right. But Jeremy, what is your pick for match of the
match
night, my
of the
friend?
night. I'll be honest. I had one coming in. But when we went back over it, I was reminded of this one and how much I actually enjoyed this a lot, because it would be real easy to give it to the main event because the main event was killer. It was wicked. But we went back over it when we went back over it a while ago. I think the match of the night to me was Jay O'Neill versus KJ Valentine, because
Okay.
they had the crowd in it. And to be the
Yeah.
second match, sometimes you can get hidden, or you kind of get glossed over after a good opener like Eli Riley versus Dylan Stone was. Actually, Jay O'Neill and KJ Valentine brought it up a level. So that's actually my vote.
All right. That is our first ever disputed answer
Yeah.
to match of the night. So now, what are
Write
Jeff
that
and
down.
Carson's answers?
Well, we'll do MVP and then or
Okay.
no, do you want to know their answers now?
Yeah.
We can do
Well,
that.
for match of the night, and then we'll check out their answers
KJ.
for MVP later.
Okay. All right. Uh, Carson, um, for the first time in a while, because we actually do all kind of work in tandem to help each other out sometimes. He is of no help whatsoever because he picked the main event, the DRP versus Crunk. But like
Of
I said,
course.
that was potentially going to be mine until I just remembered I really liked KJ Valentine and Jay O'Neill. I
There are
really
no bad
no,
choices.
no, and that's the thing. We just named three different ones. Um, Here is where the guest picks are actually going to matter, because Jeff did agree with one of them.
Who did Jeff agree with?
Jeff
The
said, yes, yes. I don't know if we can hear it. Jeff said the tag match was just straight fire. He loved the tag match. He said, "My goodness, it was so fun." They were interacting with the face team because they were right next to them, and he said those guys were just so fluid in the way everything was going. So your match of the night was the
Jeff,
Pop
you
Rocks
are a man of
Connection
class.
versus Kanoa Carnage and Pluto Vibe,
There we go.
which is gonna blow our budget a little bit of having to
we're gonna
print
have
out
to print out a
at
whole
least
lot of
four
certificates now.
certificates for the next one. Please send in money so we can afford to go to
Please,
Staples and print these out.
yes, donate to us or to Staples, whatever
Yes,
helps.
yeah. So let me circle that one. So I mean, like I said, I can't disagree with either of the matches we picked. Like you said, I could make an argument for any of them for sure.
Absolutely.
Um,
The fact that
but
we got half the card to be in the running for match of the night
yeah,
really says an awful lot about the quality of the show.
and that's only because there's four people that made official vote for this. You know,
Indeed. Yes.
that's pretty crazy. That out of four people that avidly go to these shows and avidly cover them and talk about them, only two of them agreed on what match of the night was, and the other two were in two completely different directions.
Indeed. But now it is time for our MVP of the night. Now, I, I'm I
I know this is going to be divided. I know
I
it is.
I I feel a bit biased on this one. I will admit my biases. But my vote for MVP of the night has to be my favorite wrestler in the world, the monster amongst men, Walker 13.
Wow, we are going to be everywhere on this one.
Yeah.
But yeah, because MVP is not necessarily who had the best match. It's no MVP, who was the best performance of the night. And between his promo he cut and him clearing the ring and saving 12 gauge basically at that point, I mean, it's a great argument that Walker 13 would potentially be the MVP. Um, I'm going to go with and there's a lot of reasons on this, but I'm just going to go with the main ones. I think the MVP of the night, the person that this show is not as it wasn't as great, it wouldn't have been as great if this person didn't do all the things that they did. I got to give it to Chris Crunk. Not only did he rally the troops and come out early and let you know who they are and what they were there to do, he was out to support Roxy, his stablemate and protege.
You
He
say
defended.
support. I say he practically bullied her.
Okay, that's fair. That's actually not a bad term for it. I can't disagree with that. Um, strongly suggested. We'll go with that because I don't like the word bully. Strongly suggested. Made the case to where you need to do this or we might be done. And so she just decided to. She did fight it. So, but not only that, not only did he defend it, but to use the wrestler term, some of the bumps he took, some of the moves that he took from DRP. Chris Crunk is in an area where he could have said, absolutely, hell no, I ain't taking that move off the top through chairs. Heck no, I ain't doing that, and I ain't doing that, and I ain't doing that. And instead, he goes, that's a hell of an idea. And he got caught up in a lot of those, but just some of the some of the falls and some of the bumps and some of the moves that he took from DRP, he took on an elite level. Not many people, probably outside of DRP, could have took those the way that he did just to really go behind a fourth wall there. So I got to give it
Well,
to Crunk because without his stellar performance, and I'm not just kissing up to him because there was a couple of things I didn't like he did, but without that stellar performance throughout the night, I don't think the show would have quite went as smooth as it did.
to each their own.
And boy, is this going to be interesting.
Yeah, okay. Let's
I
hear
just
it. Let's hear
glanced.
what Jeff
I
and
knew
Carson
what I knew
say.
what Carson's was because it's who I thought he would pick, and I forgot up until right now who Jeff had picked. So let's see if we can break the tie between Walker 13 and Chris Crunk.
I have a feeling something's gonna happen.
Oh, it is. It's going to get really interesting. Uh, Definitely a first time for the voting for some of the things that are happening tonight. First disagreement between us, and you're about to see. So Carson says his MVP is somebody who goes by three letters just like MVP. He said it's DRP. Yeah.
Yeah.
He says DRP. I was like, I can't disagree with that one either. DRP we already knew was great, but he like we said, Chris Crunk said, you know, Greenhorn, I'm on this level. I'm not coming down to yours. If you want to compete with me, you've got to come up to my level. And I felt like DRP came up to his level.
You can say that, but also DRP didn't quite get it done.
Correct.
Regardless, with the odds being stacked out of his favor, you know what? I mean, you know, I didn't give Walker the MVP when he lost the title to Chris Prunk, and so I don't feel right giving the MVP to DRP after losing against Chris Prunk either. But other than that, I mean, absolutely, DRP is always going to be a contender for MVP.
All right. So we're now, I mean, well, we have two candidates and an off the board because, ours are the official votes and these
Right.
are supposed to be the tiebreakers.
Right. So let's see how
Jeff
Jeff is going to
initially,
complicate this even more.
oh, he did because he actually has two. He said one and then he said, actually, I want to change it to this. And then after he changed it, he said, "So do with that, or do what you will with that." And when you hear his official, you'll figure it out.
All right.
Initially, he said his MVP vote would be KJ Valentine,
Okay.
which I went, you know what? He, like you said, he has built up the same way we've seen BK and Rico do, and get the crowd behind him. Uh, he's really building up to where it, like you said, if within the next, calendar year, if KJ Valentine had a 12 gauge championship on his shoulder, wouldn't be surprised at all.
Absolutely.
He's just like DRP. He's one of those up and coming. You better keep your eyes on him.
For
You're like,
sure.
okay, that makes sense. But he changed it. I thought KJ Valentine. He said, actually, make mine Roxy Red.
Hmm.
He felt like she definitely improved on the first. He didn't really go into it, but I read through what he's saying.
Well, well, well. Okay. Okay.
And
Because
we
we
and
do.
we know he is a fan of the Mamacitas of the wrestling world.
Indeed.
And I think Roxy reminds him of one of his favorites that he sees on TV every week or something. So he's seeing a little bit of that in her. And but his official vote was Roxy. So
Let
we have our
let's.
official vote, and then we have the two outside that don't agree with us at all. So
Well,
now we've got
yeah.
a conundrum.
So we've got three outside votes technically, and we've got two official votes. And I'll tell you what, Jeremy, as much as it pains me, I think I figured out a way to do the tiebreaker.
Okay, because I had an idea too. So let's see.
Yeah.
Let's hear what you're going to say.
As much as I would love to find an argument for why my boy Walker 13 absolutely more than earned MVP of the night, let's face it, if Roxy Red has a vote for her, Chris Crunk is just going to take credit for that and he's going to say that that counts towards him. So that might be the official tiebreaker right
Okay.
there.
Okay, then I will save my tiebreaker idea for the next time that we need to do it. Then I won't even spoil it
it's
here.
it's
I'll
rock
tell
paper
you after
scissors, isn't it?
after we record. I'll tell you what my idea was. But okay, that's I like that level of thinking, and unfortunately, Roxy, it is so that you're technically in Jeff picking you that defaults to Chris Crunk because he took your Superstar of the Year award too. So
Let's
your
face it.
official MVP, who is also now tied with DRP, going two out of three, or no, he's no, yeah, two
No,
out of three of these have been Chris Crunk
that
because he was
that's
part
true.
of match of
That's
the
true.
match of the night
Now
the first
Chris
time.
Crunk and DRP both have a match of the night, and they both have an MVP of the night. You're absolutely correct. Uh,
Yes.
yeah.
That's wow. That tells you a lot about 12 gauge. Is that first off, you need to go back and watch that match of those two people that we just told you how great they are. They keep winning our awards. You need to go see that match, but you need to see them live and you need to see them in person.
And I will still say that you know what, Walker 13 may not be walking out MVP of the night, but he is still MVP of my heart. Chris Crunk, you can have a bunch of bad things happen to you, and I would not feel that bad about it. I'm trying to keep it PG. Really having a hard time not saying F Chris Crunk.
And so think about this too: is that let's see, no, it was Jeff both times helped our tiebreaker. I thought it was 1-1, but no. So thank you, Jeff, from the Father
Thank
Son
you, Jeff.
podcast. Thank you, Carson, for having such an amazing father and
Thank you,
hopefully role
Carson.
model that you are gonna, you know, follow in his footsteps of being the great American that he is. Hopefully, you grow up and be just like your dad, Carson. It'll be so great.
Hopefully.
Um, and there is some cross promotion things in the works, guys. I just can't talk about them yet because we're not official. Because my pen's in my hand. Can't see it. There's my pen's in my hand, so we haven't signed anything yet. But just know this is not the last you'll see of it. And if you listen to their show, they talk about us quite a bit too. So that's
Oh,
great.
it's no secret that the Father Son podcast loves a little KFC in their neighborhood. And shoot, we've done now two videos together. I did an interview with Carson, as
Yep,
well as I appeared in the video of Cody's big comeback to Father and Son Wrestling Podcast.
yep,
So I'm sure there will be plenty more Kyle Charisma with Jeff Carson and Jeremy the Impact York in the recent future, in the far off future, in all the futures.
yep. And we would be remiss if we signed off without saying the next show is scheduled for February 14th. It is
That
in Rome. It will not be where it has always been. It is a new location. I don't know if he has announced that yet because I
I
don't know it. If so,
I don't think that's happening.
okay. That was the
I'm
tentative. That was the
I'm,
last I tentatively heard something.
I'm pretty sure that's not happening now. That is still in the talks. Believe me, I will send out a charisma corner the second that I hear of any change in information. But I believe that that was in talks and has not been finalized.
It
Finalized.
wasn't
The pen
finalized.
has
Okay.
not been laid to
Yeah, I know
paper.
that was a day they were playing around with,
Yes.
and
But it's a good time to plug it for everyone who is watching. If you are not subscribed already, you can send an email to 12gpwnews at gmail.com, where myself, Mr. Charisma, I will give you all the information you need to keep up with 12 Gauge Pro Wrestling. And also send me a message telling me what you want to see from the show, what you want to see less of from the show,
mhm.
just whatever thoughts you have.
Yep, absolutely. And it's only $4.99 a minute. So get your parents' credit card. No, that
it
was the
is it
ways that
is
we ran up
free
bills.
99.
It is free 99, and it's great. Of course, I'm a part of it. I'm just under I'm under a pseudo name, so they
He
don't know which
he
one I actually
he gets
am.
to read it. I get to write it.
Absolutely, but once again, shout out to the Father Son Podcast Wrestling Podcast. Go check it out after you listen and watch this one. Say hello to Jeff and Carson. They really have some really good stuff they do out there. And
Indeed.
thanks to Jeff for breaking both of our ties this time around.
We needed it. Yeah.
And if you guys watch and want to be our tiebreaker next time around, reach out to us.
There we
Reach
go.
out to us. When we realize there might be a tie and we may actually disagree on this one, that's when I reached out to them because I was just talking to them and got their answers. But yeah, anybody can be the tiebreaker. It's going to be different people every time. It is not going to be people on the show. So if you consume the show any other way other than being a wrestling talent, you can be fair game to be our guest picker. And maybe at some point we bring people on to do guest picks.
Absolutely. So please feel free to reach out to Jeremy or myself, letting us know
Mm-hmm.
your match and MVP of the night if you are
Yeah.
there at the live shows, and we will make sure that we have everything tallied up before we record these reviews. And so that way you get to be a part of this show as well as 12 Gauge.
Absolutely. And if you're on YouTube and you're already on YouTube watching us, hopefully you're subscribed to Impact underscore media underscore. Hopefully you sign up for the newsletter. Hopefully you subscribe. It is free. Subscribe to 12 Gauge Professional Wrestling on there as well. Usually about midweek after a show, you can catch the show live there in case you want to rewatch it. If you
Mhm.
were there, or if you didn't get a chance to catch it, maybe you had something come up, or wasn't in town that day or something, you can watch it and see what you missed. And
And
it's
you can
fantastic.
watch it up to a week early if you subscribe to our 12 gauge premium. I'm not sure exactly what the name of it is on there, but if you subscribe to that through Facebook, I believe is the way to
Yeah,
do it, then
it's the
you can
Facebook
get
group. Yep,
access to the YouTube shows early. And so that might be what's best for you as well.
absolutely. But I'm pretty sure we went super long tonight, which should be great. And I think we've officially exhausted everything. So definitely
Indeed.
subscribe and stay tuned to both of our channels and subscribe to that newsletter so that you know as soon as they do pick a date, and it will be a new venue. I promise you, it's a new venue no matter what. And other than that, uh, for my tag team partner, Kyle Charisma, I am Jeremy the Impact York and about to have a coughing fit. But until then, we'll see you guys next time. Deuces, gooses, go watch wrestling.